George Pullman, the sleeping car man, had built a brand new town out of 500 acres of Illinois prairie to house his workers. It was an extraordinary place. Listen how he described it. Bright beds of flowers and green, velvety stretches of lawn, dotted with parks and pretty water vistas, homes filled with light, a town where all that inspires to cleanliness of person and of thought is generously provided. I almost bought a home there myself. There's only one small thing I couldn't understand, how anyone living in this paradise, this Garden of Eden, would ever want to go on strike. I thought I'd better go down and look around. The main street was a vision. Bright red flower beds, rows of tall green trees lining the walks, houses of neat red brick with trim lawns in front. Lovely. Only, and this was curious, just one street back of the main street where the workers lived, the houses didn't have lawns. They didn't have windows. They had at most one faucet for cold water, and that was in the basement where it was cheapest to run the pipes in. 3, 4, 5 families crowded into each tenement, all using one toilet. If a man talked of joining a union, he was fired that day, his family thrown out of their house, his name was put on a blacklist and sent to every railroad in the country. And the wages, 1894, brought hard times. Skilled men who'd earned $3.20 a day saw their wages cut until, after Pullman took out the rent money, all they had left to feed their families on was 4 cents a week. But the price of food in the Pullman Company store where the wives had to buy, that stayed the same. 43 men asked permission to come in and tell Mr. Pullman their families were starving to death. They asked for and were given a firm promise they wouldn't be discharged if they came in to talk. Mr. Pullman listened to the 43 men, said there was nothing to discuss, that his only responsibility was to his stockholders, and there was no reason to give the workers a gift of money. And the next day fired them all and put their families out on the street. That's when the Pullman Strike started, and Eugene Debs called out his railway workers in support. Of course, it didn't take our government any time at all to choose sides. I never thought I'd live to see the day the United States government would call out armed troops against its own unarmed citizens in the streets of Chicago. Look at them. 3,600 of them. Guns drawn, bayonets fixed, lined up against the strikers. Look at them. At first, angry names, then fists and stones. The soldiers started shooting as they came. 7 strikers killed. No one in the Army was charged, but Debs and his entire executive board indicted for conspiracy to commit murder, his own people's murder. They sentenced Debs to 6 months in the Woodstock jail. I guess he got off easy because no other offense has ever been visited with such severe penalties as seeking to help the oppressed.